If you're watching this video, you may be wondering what a creatine loading phase is, how to do one, or if it's necessary or not. We will get to all of those things, and we'll also discuss my personal experience with different creatine supplementation methods. My husband Anthony and I decided to try creatine supplementation for the first time, and we wanted to know if we noticed a difference between preloading with creatine versus not preloading. So a little bit more on that later, but first a bit of background. A loading phase of creatine is when you take a large amount of creatine in a relatively short period of time in order to saturate your muscles fast with creatine. Most people's baseline muscular creatine levels are only at about 60 to 80%. So this means that we can increase our muscular creatine stores by roughly 20 to 40% through supplementation. The standard dosing recommendation for a creatine loading phase is to take 3 to 5 grams of creatine daily for 5 to 7 days. Now, this is a general recommendation, so if you want a more precise calculation, you can take your body weight in kilograms multiplied by 0.3. After this initial loading phase, your muscles can remain saturated with just a daily maintenance dose of 3 to 5 grams. Also, it's probably worth mentioning that if you've been routinely taking creatine for a while, your muscles are likely saturated and you probably don't need to do a loading phase. Research indicates that if you don't want to do a loading phase, you don't necessarily have to in order to reap the benefits. It will just take 28 days roughly, as opposed to 5 to 7 days in order for your muscles to become fully saturated with creatine, and then you can start noticing the benefits that come with creatine supplementation. In Anthony's case, he wanted to see benefits from creatine sooner rather than later. So he took 20 grams of creatine daily for 5 days. Then he followed this loading phase with a daily maintenance dose of 5 grams. In my case, I wasn't in a rush, so I just started out taking 5 grams daily of creatine. As far as side effects go, Anthony did feel a bit bloated, whereas I didn't. The main thing that we both faced was the increase in thirst. I found it to be pretty manageable, but Anthony, on the other hand, felt like he could not keep up with his dehydration during his loading phase. Anthony did gain about 3 pounds after his 5-day loading phase, and at the end of 28 days, he had gained a total of 7 pounds. Anthony doesn't put on weight very easily, so this was quite notable, and for me, I didn't notice any change in weight. We didn't take any precise measurements other than weight, but we did notice a change in Anthony's visual appearance after the first 1 to 2 weeks, which he was pretty pleased about. This does align with the research that muscle hypertrophy can happen due to water retention in the muscles. We were both doing resistance training in the gym during this month. Anthony estimates that he was able to increase the weight by about 10% on the squat rack, on the bench press, and on the chest press. Whether this is chalked up to placebo or not, we don't really know, but regardless, he felt an improvement. For me, I had not been following a steady strength training routine prior to this little experiment, so it was difficult to quantitatively measure my improvement in strength, but I did notice that I was able to recover quite quickly in between workouts, and I wasn't near as fatigued as I thought I might have been since I was getting back into a new workout routine again. In short, no, you don't need to do a creatine loading phase, but you will likely see faster results. If you do choose to do a loading phase, make sure to drink extra water to avoid dehydration, be prepared to gain a few pounds, and maybe feel a bit bloated. Remember, this is just anecdotal evidence. This was Anthony and I's experience taking creatine for the first time. With that being said, a lot of what we experienced does align with the creatine research. Anthony did like seeing fast results, but he did not enjoy his creatine loading phase. This was because he found it to be quite a hassle to remember to take the 4 separate doses every day, and he was pretty dehydrated for these 5 days. He did manage much better just taking a daily maintenance dose of 5 grams for the remainder of our month-long experiment. In my opinion, if you're a casual gym goer, I would skip the hassle of the loading phase and just start with a maintenance dose. This is unless you want to see results approximately 21 days sooner. When deciding whether or not to preload with creatine, it really comes down to your timeline and your personal fitness goals. For individualized, tailored advice to your health goals, book a consultation with a fitness and nutrition expert at EverFlex.